Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and welcome to Soft Flow. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. Thanks for joining me. So in this practice, we are going to focus on a specific body part. So we're going to be doing deep inner thigh stretch, a deep inner thigh stretch. And so I've got some postures that we're going to be focusing on that particular area of the body. So of course we need some props, so here's what we'll need. Just our basics that we'll use for our soft flow practice, and that's a blanket, something soft that you can sit on and kneel on. That could also just be a nice fluffy towel perhaps that you can fold up. And then of course a couple of yoga blocks. These can come in handy. This can also just be some hardbound books as well if you don't happen to have yoga blocks. And then maybe just a big pillow. This is a yoga bolster, just a nice firm cushion, but this also could just be a cushion or pillow from your sofa or bed, something you can sit on, and something quite relaxing that you can use at the end of your practice. So let's start in seated, as we always do. So go ahead and sit on your soft blanket or pillow. You can cross your legs like I do here, or you can extend your legs if that feels a little bit more comfortable for this first part of your practice. Also feel free to sit up against a wall or up in a chair for this first portion. And then you'll be instructed to come down to take a seat on the mat. So sit up nice and tall as best as you can, nice lengthened spine, and just let your arms and shoulders relax here by your side. You might start with a few deep breaths. You can breathe in deeply through your nose. You can exhale through the nose or out through your mouth. Do that one more time, just to get reacquainted with your own breathing. And then you can just settle into slow, steady breaths. Just in and out gently here. Tuning in, preparing for your practice, more focused and mindful. You can keep your eyes opened if you'd like, just taking a soft gaze forward or downward. You can even close your eyes and just continue your journey inside of self. Slow, steady breathing. And if you're able, listen to the sound of your breath. That might mean turning up the volume of your breath so you can hear it. And experience how your breath is moving through your body. As you inhale, just feel the breath rising to fill up your lungs. And a slow and controlled exhale, just drawing your navel inward toward your spine. Do that again. Nice inhale. Just feel the breath rising upward, filling up your lungs. And exhale, drawing your navel inward here, just feeling your center body. Just slow, steady breaths. Just continue here for a few more moments, continuing to connect and fully prepare for your practice. In a moment, we'll add a very simple movement. Good. When you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out and up into the air. Nice stretch, reaching all the way up. And exhale, extend your arms outward across the room. Let them float back down by your side. Let's do that again together. Inhale, extend your arms out. With some effort, reach and stretch. Lifting, lengthening all the way up. Then exhale. Good energy through your fingertips as you bring your arms back down by your side. Now go ahead and continue this on your own. Breathing at your own pace, moving at your own pace. Just a steady flow of breath and body. And just experiencing this connection. Experiencing this pranic energy, prana, breath, as it helps move you, give you energy to move. As you reach all the way up into the air, just feel the lengthening through the sides of your body. Notice the motion in your shoulders, energy in your arms and hands. Continue to feel your breath rising upward, still expanding through your lungs. As you exhale and bring your arms back down by your side, be sure to continue drawing your navel inward towards your spine here. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. And when you're complete, just let your arms and hands just rest down by your side. Continue to breathe slowly in and out. And if you happen to be sitting up against a wall or in a chair, just go ahead and make your way down to your yoga mat. While you're sitting comfortably, go ahead and bring your hands behind you, maybe just propped up onto your fingertips. With the arms back here like this, you can draw your shoulders back as well. This will really open up through the chest nicely. So we're engaging in a mild back bend. So you want to feel the chest kind of puff out, lift your chin just a little bit, and this will be our mild back bend. Now, as you inhale, just press your fingertips into the ground, just feeling the energy shoot up through the arms. Breath rising to fill up your lungs. Even more expansive here. And as you exhale, draw your navel inward towards your spine. So we're just bringing more energy to the body. Again, breathing in, pressing into the ground, strong arms, breath filling up your lungs, feeling that expansion. Exhaling and drawing belly in, and as you're able, squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you. I like that engagement of upper back and lower belly. It's a way of really supporting the torso from the upper back side and the lower front side. 2 more breaths here. And after your second breath, just lower your chin a little bit so you're looking directly forward. Walk your hands toward yourself so you're sitting up nice and tall. And again, you can just bring your arms and hands back into your lap. Just hold here in stillness for a moment. Now if your legs are crossed, let's go ahead and uncross the legs and come to Cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. So that's when the soles of the feet are together here. This starts to get into the inner thighs a little bit, so that deep inner thigh stretch that we're working towards. And again, I have several poses that will engage that sensation. You might use your books or blocks here to support the legs, just in case they don't come all the way down to the ground, and they don't have to come all the way down to the ground. So it's nice to have some pillows or books or blocks right here. Go ahead and hold on to your ankles or shins, making sure you're sitting up as tall as can be. So you want your torso to feel like it's lifting up out of the pelvis. There's a lot of space along the belt line. Now we're going to inhale and feel even taller. Exhale, draw belly in for support and start to hinge forward from the hips, leading with your heart and chin, just coming forward just a little bit, not too far at all. Once you're here, inhale and extend your spine at this new angle. Exhale, draw belly in, again for support and energy, hinging forward a tiny bit more. Now start to notice perhaps that stretch or even just some sensation in the inner legs. Now you can certainly add a little bit more, but you don't have to make this too forceful at all. I'm going to go a little bit further down and even allow my chin to lower and curve my back. That way I have kind of a double sensation. One is in the inner legs, and with the curvature in the spine, feeling kind of this stretch quality in the back, which feels nice. And just holding here for several breaths. Remember, we're working at about 60 or 70%, not too hard, not too deep, just enough where you have sensation and you feel like you can hold this pose for a good period of time. When you're in a mild stretch like this for any part of your body, whether it's your back or your hamstrings or even your shoulders, finding a pose or a position you can be in that doesn't feel strenuous, that you can hold for even a couple of minutes. That way the stretch of the muscles or joints or ligaments can really occur in a safe way. Take 2 more breaths here. Now if your back is curved and chin is lowered, just lift your chin a little bit to help re-extend your spine. You're going to hinge your way back up, so you might even place your hands on your mat. Press and lift until you're nice and tall and well lengthened through your spine once again. Hold here for a moment. And then we'll make a transition to our hands and knees. So if you're using props, let's just put those to the side. Carefully and slowly, just make your way to hands and knees. You can use your blanket or towel for this part just to help protect the joints. I just open mine out to a rectangle. Come here, creating a tabletop. And then inhale to lift head and heart, a little arching of the back, creating the back bend right here. That's cow pose. Exhale, round it out. Pull belly button up towards spine, chin to chest. The curvature of the spine, that's cat. And just continue to flow on your own, breathing in and out. Just flowing. It's a nice fluid motion through the spine. Getting this good undulation through the whole spinal column. Be aware of how you're able to move your pelvis in this rocking fashion, forward and back. When you exhale and pull belly button up towards spine, it engages your core, so it's more core work as well, especially in the abdominal system. You can just continue with this simple movement or add other movements, just something intuitive that might feel good at this moment. For example, you might just circle your hips. Maybe that feels good for you at this moment. What I like to do, because I tend to have tight hips and outer hips right through here for me, what I'll tend to do is maybe bring my knees closer together like this and kind of lean to one side. Let me turn so you can actually see this. So I bring my legs a little closer together and just send my hips out to the side, right there, something like this. Can you see that? And just a little massage. We're just doing a gentle rocking forward and back, and it just feels like a little massage in kind of right where the hip bone is and the muscle groupings in that area. So if that's something that feels good for you, go ahead and do that, or anything else. You can even just sit back into a child's pose, just to get off the hands for a moment. Continue those circles, or just the simple cat-cow. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Then just come to stillness, holding here in tabletop. Now you're probably here with your hands and wrists directly underneath your shoulders, and your hips are right above the knees. What I have you do here is actually take the knees a little bit wider, actually much wider. See how they went way, way out like that, okay? And just hold that for a moment. And as you're able, if you can, come down to your elbows right here. Now this is actually just a kind of a preview of a pose we're going to do later. It's going to be a little bit deeper. It's called frog pose, but this is just kind of a little introduction to that posture. Okay, so again, something that's not too strenuous, but just a little introduction, a little preview. 2 more breaths right here. And then just make your way back up onto hands. And let's get set up for downward facing dog. So if you are using some padding here, go ahead and crawl off that blanket or towel. Set it to the side. Hands out in front here. Go ahead and step your hands forward on your mat so your hands are out from underneath the shoulders, spreading out your fingers nice and wide for a good foundation for the body. A little extra pressure, just press into the ground, flat palms, strong straight arms. Feel the strength here. Tuck your toes. We're going to do another cat-cow. So a cow to inhale, the back bend right here. Exhale into cat. Hold cat pose for a couple seconds as you now lift your knees and then your hips up into the air. A little tiptoe forward just to establish good foundation. Keep a good bend in the knees. Send the hips up a little higher as you're able, pressing hands firmly into the ground. That's our downward facing dog. Now, looking straight down at the floor, walk your feet to the center of your mat until they're flat on the mat, right underneath you. You might even need to slide your hands toward your toes. This is forward fold. We're going to inhale, slide the hands up the legs, maybe to your shins or knees, and extend the spine to a flat back like a table and hold here.
just so the feet feel firm, you feel strongly balanced right here. There's still a continued extension through the spine, an energy or an imagined energy moving through the crown of your head towards the front of the room, while your hips and tailbone are reaching towards the back of the room. Solid and grounded on your feet. But we're going to shift, we're going to move. So you're going to shift your weight back into your heels. So you're kind of leaning back a little bit. Bend your knees like you're going to sit down. Hips go down, and you start to go, your torso, your head starts to go up. Take your arms out to the side. Drive the heels into the ground to straighten the legs. Get nice and tall through your torso, and then reach up into the sky. This is extended mountain pose. Then exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Holding here our first standing position. Feel free to kind of roll the shoulders, maybe big circles backward like this, a couple times forward, just to kind of loosen things up. You can even move through the elbows, even through your hands. Since we were on our hands and knees for a little bit, this is a nice way just to kind of get some mobility back in the wrists and fingers. All right, let's do our forward fold and standing back up sequence together here, mountain pose. Here we go. Inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees as you sit back into your imaginary chair, letting your heart come down slowly, carefully, maybe touching your toes. Then inhale, slide your hands back up to the shins or knees, extending your spine. Hold here on the exhale, our flat tabletop position. This is just called half forward fold. Solid and grounded on your feet. Even distribution of weight from toes to heel. But then to stand, we're going to shift the weight back into the heel so your toes are light. You can easily tap them. Bend your knees, sitting down into the imaginary chair. Start to look forward. Spread your wings. And inhale, let's stand up. Once again, reaching high into the sky. And exhale, let's bring the arms back down by your side. If you'd like, you can go ahead and shake out those shoulders again, elbows and wrists. All right, let's do our variation of Warrior One. We'd like to start in mountain pose. A little added piece here is be sure your knees have a good bend in them, nice softness in the knees. Start shifting your weight into your right foot. Okay, so you can feel that energy shift, strongly planted into the ground on the right foot. Lean forward just a little bit so you can easily tap your left foot back. Keep the foot flexed so you're on your toes there, heel is lifted. Doesn't have to go back too far. And then you're going to pivot or turn that left heel, plant it down into the ground, and your whole body shifts to this center space. Place your hands on your hips, push your pelvis down, okay? And then feel like your torso is lifting up. We're just making a little bit more space, a lot more space in the belt line. And then turning so you're mostly facing forward here. Go ahead and inhale and take both arms up into the sky, straight line. Big stretch. Exhale, bring your elbows down or just bend the elbows so you're at 90 degrees, something like this. Okay? And just hold here. A couple breaths. Our variation of Warrior One, a lunging sensation in the body, but modified. Let's inhale, take the arms back up into the air, straight up and down. Exhale, bring your arms down and bring your hands to your hips. Then shifting your weight forward so you have pressure in this front foot. Just bend that knee. So you can pick up the left foot and just step forward here, feet together. Stand up tall, both arms straight up into the sky. Exhale, arms back down by your side. Just returning to mountain pose. And ready for the other side. Start with a slight bend in the knees so we don't lock out the knees. Shifting weight now into your left foot. Plug it into the ground very strongly. Feel tall, so a lengthened spine. Inhale to fill up the lungs. Exhale, core engaged. Lean forward just a tiny bit so it's easy for you to step or tap the right foot back until it just kind of naturally stops. Heel lifted, flexed toes. Pivot or turn right heel to the floor. Just turn the whole leg so you can just shift and plant the whole foot into the ground. Whole body shifts to center. Hands on hips. Push pelvis down as you get a little taller and longer in the torso so you can easily turn to face mostly forward. Now your inhale to take arms up into the air, straight line. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. Continue your focus forward, breathing in and out. You even want to feel like you've got your arms against like a door jamb and you're sending your heart forward. You're trying to go through the door, but your arms have kind of locked you in place.
So a nice opening up through the chest. And here we go. Inhale, let's take the arms up into the air. Exhale, bring your arms down, hands to hips. Lean forward, putting weight into the left foot. So you can pick up the right foot, step forward, feet together. Inhale, once again, take both arms up into the sky. There we are. Exhale, arms return to your side. And if you want, you can shake that out once again. All right, let's go through our flow here, our sun salutation that we slow down and break down. Mountain pose. Whenever you're ready, inhale, let's take the arms out and up, reaching into the sky. Even feel free to tip your chin up. You can look up if that feels okay on your neck. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into your imaginary chair. This should give you some good control so you can fold slowly. Hands can land at your shins or ankles, or maybe even touching your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up the legs, re-extending your spine. Now on this exhale, fold and bend. Just continue to go down low enough, bend the knees more until you can place both hands on your mat here. And then walk or step both feet back until you're in plank pose or a high push-up position, just like this. This is a great strength posture. We're going to breathe in, ready to move. Exhale, bend your knees a little or a lot really to send your hips up into the air. Now you might need to tiptoe forward a little bit, establishing a strong foundation, feet and hands. Keep a good bend in the knees, send the hips high, hands press firmly into the ground. Here's our straight line in the spine, downward facing dog. Let's continue our lunge sequence. We'll inhale to lift the right leg up into the air. Just reach back through your toes to the back of the room. Exhale, bend that right knee a lot. Bring that knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin, shifting your whole upper body forward until you can see that your shoulders are aligned over your wrists. And then set the right foot down. Just your toes are fine. And then set the left knee down. What we're doing here is actually going back with the right hand to pick up the right foot and place it up a little higher on the mat, closer to the right hand. We're going for Warrior One. Relift the left knee, pivot or turn left heel to the floor. Now a lot of weight is forward, so shift the weight back so you have more weight in that back foot so you feel planted and secure. This is our second version of Warrior One. Extending the spine so it's straight. Press into the floor with the foot as you hinge from hips, rising up, reaching into the air. Warrior One. Reach high. Exhale, just kind of lunge and hold right here. So you can see and feel how this is a bit different from the first version. More distance between the feet, arms are a little straighter. Even more sensation in the left inner thigh right here. Okay, let's breathe in. Exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room. Arms come down to parallel like so. Warrior Two. Make sure this right knee didn't dip to the inside. We want to make sure it's still pointing directly forward. So just take a look at it, see where it's aligned, make sure it's pointing and going directly forward there. Same direction as this right hand. Now let's reach out with the right arm here, angling the upper body, and then rotate the arms here. So your right hand or even your arm might even come to the thigh, just like this. This is fine for this pose. While your left hand is reaching straight up into the air like you're reaching for the 12 on a clock. And a few breaths here. Great opening for the whole front body and the hips. And we're getting this nice inner thigh stretch here on the right leg. Okay, we're going to breathe in. Exhale, carefully turn, fold and bend. Catch yourself with your hands on the mat. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. What you're going to do here is set the left knee onto the floor. Okay? And just kind of lunge forward. Not too hard, not too harshly, because what's going to happen is your knee might even jet forward past the ankle, but not too far, because we don't want to strain this knee. Typically, I would actually have you move this foot, but we're not going to hold this very long, nor am I having you go too deeply in this posture. Okay? And then you're going to shift back so you're out of that sensation. So maybe even take both hands over to this left side. So you can just slide that right foot back so you're on hands and knees, like this. And do cat-cow 2 breaths. You're going to hold cat pose on that second exhale.
Hold it, but keep breathing, but just keep that rounded spine, belly button pulled up towards spine. Just keep breathing. Step your hands forward, tuck your toes. Next exhale, just lift your knees and hips into the air. Return to down dog. All right, here's our inhale to extend left leg into the sky. Exhale, bend the left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest. Upper body shifts forward, shoulders over wrists. Set the left foot down, unless you can actually step all the way up to the top of the mat. But otherwise, just put it down. Set the right knee down. Let's go get that left foot. Literally pick it up and just step it up a little higher up on the mat. Let's relift the right knee. Pivot right heel to the floor. Shift the body weight back so that back foot feels planted, feels strong. Make sure to elongate through your torso out over this left thigh. Left knee is pointing forward, yes? Hinge from hips, rising up, reaching into the air. That's an inhale. Exhale, just lunge a little deeper, hold for several breaths. Second version of Warrior One. Getting into the sensation of the right hip flexor, or that right leg, upper thigh area. Reaching into the sky to get some length through the sides of the body. Let's inhale. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Once again, be sure your left knee didn't dip to the inside of the foot, but still pointing directly forward, yes? And let's reach out over the left thigh, angled upper body. Rotate your arms here. Left hand reaching downward, right hand reaching upward. Remember your left hand can literally just be on your thigh. I like this variation. It just feels quite supportive, actually. I can just easily angle and kind of control the angle of the upper body with the hand. You can even go a little lower, just bringing the forearm to the thigh. You can certainly go much lower where your left hand actually reaches the ground. But for soft flow, you can keep it up a little higher. Let's breathe in. Exhale, we're going to carefully turn, fold and bend. Catch yourself with your hands here on the ground. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. This is our runner's lunge. Gently set the right knee onto the ground. You can even flatten that back foot. And just lunge forward just a little bit until you feel a little bit of a stretch in the right inner thigh. Making sure we're not putting any added pressure in the knee because our knee has kind of shifted forward because it could potentially put pressure on it, yes? A couple breaths. And after the second breath, just pull out of that deep lunge. Maybe hands over to the right, over here, so it's easy for you to kind of slide the left foot back so you'll return to hands and knees. And then 2 breaths, cat and cow. Right here. All right, go ahead and sit back briefly in hero, just so you can get the weight off the hands. Really what you want to be able to bring in some props. So if you've got a couple blocks or books, go ahead and grab those and place them up near the top of the mat. And then make sure your blanket is nearby, right here, okay? Now, bring the hands out in front, back to hands and knees. Go ahead and just tuck toes, lift knees and hips, just to return to downward facing dog. Now, we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to inhale and lift the right leg up into the air. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring it in underneath you towards chest, shifting forward. Set the right foot down, set the left knee down. Now again, we are going to replace this right foot, but we're going to place it somewhere else. Rather than just stepping directly forward, you're going to actually take it out to the right side. It might even step off the mat. Okay, can you see my foot? I kind of stepped off the mat a little bit. Okay, and even turned out at an angle. Now, we're going to re-lift that left knee, okay, like this. If you can, if that blanket's nearby, slide that blanket in so you can actually reposition or place the knee on the blanket. Now, as you're able, now the farther out that leg goes, the more space you may have created. But what you can do here with the hands is either place them on the blocks like this, bend elbows to kind of go lower, or you might even be able to bring your elbows all the way down to the ground. But if that seems too far, the arms can come down to the raised blocks. Now this is still pretty deep for me. Okay, so I'm going to come up a little bit higher, actually stack one block on top of the other, like that, and just place one arm. That's it. So this doesn't feel as deep as before, but I can still feel this left hip flexor stretch as well as that deep inner thigh stretch. That's what we're focusing on. And on this side, or this time, it's on our right leg. Deep breathing here. We're going to do several things with this pose. First, we're just allowing the body as best as you can just to kind of sink into this, melt into this. Now, sometimes in deep postures like this, I consider that you have a time limit on how long you can actually hold a pose like this. So if you feel like, you know what, I think I've been here long enough, go ahead and honor that and then come out of the pose or just soften the pose. Okay, you're not obligated to hold it, absolutely long if that's not what your body is needing at the moment. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths if you're still with me here. Okay, we're going to rise up a little bit, really just coming back up onto the hands. Okay? Now I'm going to step my hands out over to the left a little bit, over to the left side. Keep the weight on that left hand so I can pick up the right hand. I'm getting a nice long torso and kind of turning towards the right leg. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got my right hand. I'm placing it on the right inner thigh and pushing it away. Let me see if I can turn this way so you can actually see this. I'm going to try to mirror you. So my hand's over to one side, and using this one hand, just kind of pushing the leg away. So your upper body, okay, and that leg, just creating distance between it. You might even kind of roll up onto the outside edge of that foot. And just some deep breaths here. Again, we're not going to hold this too long. It's just a different sensation. Okay, let me just go back to my original pose here. 2 more breaths. And then we'll just come back down, unwind, hands on the floor. You might even just kind of heel toe that right foot back onto your mat. Okay? Tuck your toes so you can lift that left knee. And then slide the right foot back so you're in plank pose again. Bend the knees, hips to sky, downward facing dog. Now if your blanket's there, that's okay. If you need to move it, you can move it. But you're going to inhale, extend left leg into the sky. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you, shifting the weight forward. Step over the blanket and just set the toes on the ground. Set the right knee, it might just land on the blanket there, that's fine. Now we're going to pick up this left foot, step it forward but out to the left side. It might be at the edge of the mat or even somewhat off the mat and at an angle, kind of pointing out at an angle. Okay? Let's get that blanket in place so it feels good underneath the knee. Bring in those blocks. Now you can stay on your hands either on the mat or up on the blocks. Now the sensation here is this. You're pushing into the blocks or the ground, kind of getting a lift feeling to extend the spine, even look forward and even feel like you're going forward. And you'll get this sinking sensation. Okay? So you can just stay up on your hands, but if that's a little bit too strenuous on the wrists, that's why it's okay to come down to elbows. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stack my blocks here. So this is another, if you've got one of those really firm cushions, like a bolster, that can really work nicely too. Okay, we're going to hold here for several breaths, getting really deep, but we're still working at that soft flow mentality. 60, 70%, okay? So that you're not feeling strained in the posture. You feel like you could hold this for a significant amount of time. But again, if there's a time limit on how long you can actually hold the pose, that's perfect. You can honor that and just simply soften and come out of the position whenever you're ready. In a pose like this, you can just hold in stillness. That really allows for all that stretching, lengthening, all that kind of it occurs internally, that all that happens naturally here. You can even just add some very subtle movements, very subtle. All right, 2 more breaths, and we'll add that second sensation. So first, even notice what this feels like. Take note of it. And then coming back up slowly, maybe just back up onto the hands. Step the hands out over to the right side a little bit. Make sure your spine feels really long. Turn your torso towards the left leg. Left hand is on that inner thigh and kind of pushing it away. And you kind of roll up onto the outside edge of the left foot. And you're just creating some distance between the torso and this leg. It's like just leaning back away from it. And again, notice the sensations in the body, because there might have been a change here. I really feel the change in the right leg, the leg that's extended out behind me in the hip flexor, because we're kind of rotated on that axis. 2 more breaths. Okay, we're going to come back to neutral. Take your time, hands on the floor here. Heel toe that left foot back in. A little bit more of a lean. I'm even stepping my hands more to the right side, so it's easy for me to actually slide and step the left foot back, so I'm hands and knees right here. And let's just do cat-cow. Getting that return to the fluid sensation in the spine. Alrighty, that's a lot of pressure on the wrist, so you can tuck your toes here, sit back, and come to maybe what I've been calling half hero. So you don't have to sit all the way back and down, but you want to be able to take the hands off the floor. You might even want to do a counter stretch for the wrist. Since we're in that flexed position all that time, you want to get in the other direction. So you might even gently, very gently, press the top of the hand on the mat. I like to do like 3 pulses on one hand and then the other side, very, very gently. Alrighty, so let's get ready for that frog pose. And we did a little preview of it earlier, so we're going to get ready to do maybe just going a little bit deeper. Now I'm going to take my blanket long ways like this and placing it across the mat like it was like I was crossing the letter T. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to see if I can actually get this longer. How can I get this longer? That's kind of longer. So I just made my blanket a little bit longer, okay? Crossing the T, just like this. Okay? So I'm going to get my knees up on that blanket right here. So at the moment, my knees are directly underneath the hips, but you're going to start walking the knees outward, away from the hips. And just going out until you're kind of creating like these frog's legs. Okay? Now, you don't have to go too far, nor do you have to go too deep, just so you start to get this inner thigh stretch, because we're going to hold this pose. So I want you to be in a place where you can actually hold this. Now, this is where your big pillow or cushion can come in handy. So maybe you've got a pillow, something that you can use underneath you, because we're not very close to the floor, but something you can kind of tuck underneath you like this, and then you can kind of lay on top of. Can you do this? Do you have something like this? Or if you don't have something like this, maybe just come down to your forearms and just kind of hold yourself up on your forearms. But if you happen to have a big cushion or a pillow or another set of blankets, maybe you can kind of roll them up and place them underneath you. So just another check-in with the legs, kind of creating these frog's legs. So they kind of splay out to the side, knees bent. So we're getting a very gentle stretch on the inner thighs. Okay, it's a deep stretch, but we're taking it mildly. And this is where you can just focus on breathing. Very meditative. Even just allow yourself, if you are lying on something like a bolster or a pillow, so just seeing how much you can actually relax. Now I feel like I'm holding myself up, so I'm even bringing in a block, and I can just let my forehead, there we go, just kind of rest on the block. In a way, this is a very nice restorative position. So in Restore Yoga, you want to be able to be very relaxed. Or even in a yin class, you would use a lot of props, yin yoga, but in yin yoga you would do your very best to disengage as much as you can, meaning completely relaxed muscles. No engagement at all, as best as you can. Now, I know that I'm engaging some muscles because I'm kind of holding myself up a little bit. So I know there's muscle engagement, but I am relaxed here. And so this feels more restorative in nature. So a modified version of frog pose, deep inner thigh stretch. Let's take 5 more breaths here. We'll be doing this pose again, but differently, okay? Alrighty, now there's no rush to move, meaning really move in slow motion to come out of this posture. Okay, so I'm just kind of propping myself up on my hands, lifting myself up off this bolster. I'm starting to walk the knees inward towards center. So I'm returning 2 hands and knees. I'm going to move my bolster out of the way. Okay, now we are going to flow again. So if you are using that blanket, let's crawl off the blanket, move it to the side. Come back to hands and knees. Step your hands forward, spread out your fingers, strong hands and arms, tuck your toes. Inhale for cow, that's the back bend right here. Exhale, rounded out cat. Hold cat, lift knees and hips up into the air. Your return to down dog. Let's flow. Inhale, let's lift the right foot and extend the right leg up in the air. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring it in towards chest, shift body forward. If you can, bring right foot up close to right hand, or just do that other variation that we always use by picking up the foot to place it there. Pivot left heel to the floor, shifting weight back, balanced on 2 feet. Elongate through torso, over the thigh. Inhale, hinge from hips, rising up, reaching into the sky, warrior 1. Exhale, turn torso towards left side of the room, opening warrior 2. If you want, you can also take a little bit more distance between the feet, lunge a little bit deeper since we have been working this inner thigh already. So maybe there's some length that has already been created. Arms extended. Let's take our side angle, reaching out, rotate. Maybe you're a little lower. Maybe the hand or arm is no longer on the thigh, but maybe the arm is straight and you're reaching a little bit closer to the ground. Again, a little bit more stretch in that right inner thigh. Okay, let's breathe in. Exhale, carefully turn, fold and bend, hands to the ground. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. Set the left knee down, flatten the foot, lunge forward. Getting to the left hip flexor a little bit. Not here long, be attentive to the right knee. Shift back. Okay, hands to the left. So you get to slide right foot back, hands and knees. Cat, cow, 2 breaths. Inhale, look up or forward. Exhale, round. 1 more. You're going to hold your cat pose. Tuck your toes. Lift knees and hips, downward facing dog. Inhale to lift your left foot and extend the left leg up into the air. Exhale, bend the left knee, bring it in towards chest, shift forward, step left foot to the top of the mat. Or, remember the other version, always okay to do the other version. Pivot right heel to the floor, shifting the weight back, balanced on 2 feet. Long torso, inhale, hinge from hips, reaching into the sky, straight line. Exhale, opening to the right side of the room, warrior 2. Arms to parallel. I am going to take my feet a little bit wider. I'm just wiggling the left foot forward, right foot back a tiny bit, lunging a little bit deeper. Reaching out with the left arm, rotate the arm. Left arm braced on the inner left leg just to support the body, but I do feel a little bit more of a stretch in the left inner thigh because we've been doing a lot of that already. And that's our intention. Okay, let's move. Breathing in first. Exhale, we'll turn. Bring the hands to the ground. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. Set the right knee onto the mat. Flatten the foot. Lunge forward carefully, slowly, getting into that right hip flexor. One more breath. Shift the weight back. Hands over to the right, just so you can slide this left foot back easily, hands and knees. Cat, cow. 2 breaths on your own. Alrighty. Now go ahead and sit back into hero, but very briefly, just to get off the hands. You're going to sit off to the side here, sitting on the ground. Let's swing the feet to the front here, and also sit in the center of your mat. Check in with your props. Be sure you've got a blanket and your blocks, mainly your blocks nearby that you can easily grab them, okay? You're going to go ahead and roll down onto your back. And once you're down on your back, hug your knees into your chest. Okay? Now this is the second version of frog pose. Okay? Flex the feet and just take the legs wide. Okay? Just like this. So we pretty much did this, but upside down. Okay? You know, when our belly was down, legs were wide, we're lying across or over that pillow. Now we're just doing it on our back. Maybe less sensation, okay, in the inner thighs. Couple breaths here, just to continue this emphasis of lengthening, stretching, and even just adding a little bit more flexibility and mobility. And we're going to do something here. We're going to go into half happy baby pose. We're going to extend the left leg out onto the floor in front. Keep hugging in the right knee. Kick that right foot towards ceiling. But if you can, reach up with that right hand, grab hold of the bottom of the right foot. If you can't reach it, just hold on to your ankle or shin. Okay, whatever you've got, just going to gently press down. So your knee is very bent. Your knee is coming down towards the floor on the outside of the body. Some deep breaths here. Still working these inner legs. I'm going to add something to this pose. So take 3 more breaths. So we're half happy baby, working the right leg. Next, just keep hold of that right foot for now. Bend your left knee. Plant that left foot on the ground. So you just bent that leg, that's all. Take this right foot and cross the right ankle over left thigh, like you're just crossing the leg here. We're going to reclining pigeon or eye of the needle pose. From here, once the leg is crossed, lift the left foot, draw the legs towards yourself. Your right arm is the thread, and it's going to go through the eye of the needle. Okay, then reach with both hands, holding on to the left shin or even your left hamstring. Now you can just draw the legs in closer for more sensation. Now this will kind of target more of the outer portion of the right leg, the leg that's bent. Okay, you may feel a little bit in the inner leg, but I think, at least for me, I'm feeling more on the outer leg. 2 more breaths. When you're complete, release at the foot down, uncross the legs, and just hold here for a moment. Okay, before we do the other side, let's do our supported bridge pose. We're just going to do these twice, okay? So knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Make sure you've got your blocks. Can you reach your blocks? Exhale, press into the floor with your blocks, lift your hips, slide the blocks underneath you, or just one, and just sit on the blocks. And just hold here for a moment. See if you can soften, just relax here for a few breaths. We're going to add on to this as well. Now from here, just bring the feet and legs in closer, so they might even touch, and then slowly take the knees outward to either side of the room. You're doing Cobbler's pose. We're not going to hold here long because this is a significant stretch. So the soles of the feet might touch or they're just facing each other. Knees kind of splay open. Gravity is pulling the knees down, stretching in the inner legs. Just 2 more breaths, because this could feel a little bit too much, maybe beyond that 60 or 70%. Okay, let's bring the knees back up, plant the feet into the ground, push into the ground so you can lift your hips, remove your blocks, and return to the earth. Soften and relax here for a breath or two. We're going to do the other side, that whole series. Go ahead and extend your right leg onto the ground, straight leg. Let's hug the left knee into chest, gently. Kick that left foot up towards ceiling. Reach up, grab hold of the bottom of the foot or hold onto ankle or shin. Half happy baby pose. Okay, gently pressing down so the knee feels like it's coming down to the ground or towards the ground on the outside of the body. Now this too is a very significant stretch. So some deep breathing to help support the body in the stretch. And of course, we're not holding it too extremely long. Two more breaths. Keep hold of that left foot. We're going to bend the right knee, plant the right foot into the ground, crossing left ankle over right thigh, setting up for reclining pigeon, or more formally, eye of the needle. Your left arm is now the thread, threaded through the eye. Okay, pick up the right foot, drawing the legs towards self, using both hands to hold on to the right shin or hamstring. Finding the sensation that fits best on this side. The more you draw the legs in closely toward your chest, more sensation perhaps. Deep breathing. Notice where you do have sensation. Perhaps that outer thigh, hip and glute. 3 more breaths. Carefully bring that right foot back down to the floor, uncross the legs so that both feet are on the ground, knees bent. Let's return to bridge pose. Grab those blocks. Next exhale, press feet into the ground, lift your hips, slide your blocks or just one underneath you and sit. Now you can just stay in bridge pose. You're welcome to do that hip opener again, the cobbler's pose with raised hips if you'd like, but just an option now. Otherwise, just hold your bridge pose in a relaxed fashion. Just a nice opening for the whole front side of the body. Returning to the awareness of breath as we get a little bit closer to the end of our practice together. Just take 3 more breaths here. Pressing feet into the earth, lifting the hips, slide your blocks out from underneath you, set them to the side, slowly return to the ground. Once you've made it down safely, hug both knees into chest. Let's take a twist. Let's start by taking the knees, both knees over to the left side of the room as you extend your right arm off to the right side of the room. Holding for 3 breaths or 5 breaths. 3 breaths if they're slow. 5 breaths if they happen to be quicker. When you're complete with this first side, take your time, return to center, hold for a second, just so your spine realigns, and then take the knees over to the other side. Same thing, maybe 3 slow, deep breaths, or if your breathing is a little quicker, take 5 breaths.
When you're complete, carefully, slowly return to center, perhaps one more hug of the knees in towards body, and then extend the legs straight out in front of you onto the mat, making your way to Shavasana. Here, feel free to use any props that you want to help support your body. Blocks, your blanket, pillows, cushions, anything you'd like. Just finding some place and position that feels very comfortable. You might close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Slow, steady breaths. Stay here as long as you'd like. Just maintain this very comfortable position. After your moving practice, settle in. Even as I end the practice and come to seated, you're welcome to stay just like this. When you're ready to move, start with breath, taking 5 slow, deep breaths. As you're breathing, experience the subtle return of movement in your body. And after your 5th breath, if you're ready to move, slowly and carefully roll onto either side of your body. Just moving into a nurturing pose. Briefly here. And then rise to seated. Feel free to sit on your blanket or pillow. Return to a lengthened spine. Nice and tall and proud. Shoulders relaxed, your arms can relax, hands can rest in your lap, you can stay here or bring hands to heart center. Go ahead and take one more breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.